Breaking news as we come on the air. President Trump saying a deal with Iran could be signed as soon as this weekend. The president announcing the deal is almost finalized and that he's called off another round of strikes set for tonight. What Iran is now saying about this deal. Tornadoes tearing across the Midwest, one ripping the roof off this home. Pool chairs flying off a Chicago rooftop, crashing right into traffic. The threat now pushing east. Al Roker standing by for us. These images just in of a deadly plane crash into a home in Ohio. Golf star Phil Mickelson removed from his longtime club as a new report says he was accused of inappropriate contact with a female employee. His team's denial tonight. Shocking dash cam video showing a police officer accidentally shooting another officer. The chief calling it horseplay gone wrong. World Cup kickoff. We're there for the first game. The fans going wild and the clashes with protesters outside the stadium. Our series, The Cost of Denial, and the new government report slamming popular Medicare Advantage plans for too many denials. 95% of them overturned. The mystery on the National Mall. Giant numbers, 8647, imprinted onto the grass. Is it a signal against President Trump? White House cage match, our first up-close look at the Octagon ahead of the big UFC fight this weekend. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. It is great to be with you tonight. We begin with a potentially major announcement from the president that a deal to end the war with Iran is nearly finalized, and the vice president may travel as soon as this weekend to sign it in Europe. The president in the Oval Office saying that the U.S. reached a great settlement, and once signed, Iran would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. would then end its blockade of Iranian ports. That news sending oil prices dropping and markets soaring. Take a look at this with the Dow up more than 900 points at the closing bell. But Iran tonight sounding less certain of the terms. And even if signed, it would not be the final deal, likely leaving for later talks thornier issues such as what happens with Iran's enriched uranium. All of this following President Trump's abrupt reversal, canceling another round of retaliatory strikes against Iran he was promising for tonight. We should note the president has said there were deals close to finalization before that have fallen apart. So why is this one different? Our Gabe Gutierrez starts us off.
Tonight, the sudden reversal. Just hours before another round of U.S. airstrikes was set to begin against Iran, President Trump canceling the attack, insisting a deal is within reach.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe.
The president saying multiple countries in the region were on board, though tonight Iran's foreign ministry says it has not yet reached a final decision regarding an agreement and will not compromise on its red lines.
They will not purchase, develop in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump has said a deal was close before. Today he was pressed, why is this time different? Pointed to the latest U.S. strikes.
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do.
Earlier today, the president had floated the idea of outright taking Harg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, which would have been a dramatic escalation, possibly requiring American boots on the ground. Now he says the new agreement would mean Iran stops attacking commercial oil tankers and the Strait of Hormuz fully reopens.
And you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
Late today, markets surging and oil prices falling, with the president saying there could be a signing ceremony in Europe that Vice President Vance might attend.
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding. That is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done.
And Gabe, we just heard Iran publicly hedging there in your report. Have we heard from the new Ayatollah? The president was asked about it today.
Yes, Tom. President Trump said it was his understanding that the new Ayatollah had approved, but there's been no statement from him yet. Also, Tom, U.S. officials tell us the military was just 3 hours from launching missiles at Iran tonight when the president canceled the attack. and that Harg Island was not on the target list. Tom?
Gabe Gutierrez leading us off tonight. Gabe, we thank you. We're also tracking an outbreak of tornadoes across the Midwest. The severe weather killing at least one person in Iowa. Shaquille Brewster and his team in Chicago, which is under a tornado watch right now.
Life-threatening weather pummeling the Midwest.
Big-time tornado.
As ominous funnel clouds sweep through Iowa and Missouri, where you can see power flashes from the sky. Twisters were reported across 5 states. In Illinois, the same system tearing the roof off this home, destroying building after building, and causing chaos in downtown Chicago.
Oh my God.
Watch as these pool chairs fly off a rooftop.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Crashing down in front of cars. That violent wind blowing out high-rise windows and slamming trees and debris into car after car across the city. You see a roof crashing down onto several of those cars after last night's round of storms. Crews now racing to clean up the damage ahead of another round expected today. On the city's south side,
I'm not sure how they're going to get this tree out of here.
look at this massive tree uprooted, crushing what used to be a garage.
This is extremely sad. Everyone's without power still.
In Pennsylvania, torrential rain causing scenes like this. These cars slushing through flooded roads.
This is a bit extreme, don't you think?
As another round of storms causes another round of cleanup. And right here, you see the power of those storms. Tom, look at the size of this tree. Those storms so powerful, it not only uprooted it, but ripped up the sidewalk along with it. Going into the evening, there's a similar threat where this area is under a tornado watch. Tom?
A dangerous night, Shaq. We thank you for that. And multiple states are under tornado watches right now. And those storms are set to push east overnight. Al Roker has been standing by for us. Al, time this all out for us.
All right. So, Tom, here's the latest. We've got heavy thunderstorms, thunderstorm watches and warnings in the Northeast. We've got tornado warnings now south of Chicago and heading their way. We've got severe thunderstorm watches making their way into the lower Mississippi River Valley. 96 million people at risk. And in fact, we've got a risk EF3 tornadoes in central Illinois. We're watching that. Tomorrow, the Northeast is under the gun, 63 million people. Good news, tornado risk is low. Saturday, we've got more possibility of tornadoes from Kansas City to Tulsa to Hutchinson. And then Sunday, more heavy thunderstorms in the Northeast. The heat will continue, Tom. Heat indexes into the triple digits for much of the Northeast. But the good news, we've got a cool down coming into this weekend into early next week. Tom?
Okay, Al, we thank you. There are troubling allegations tonight rocking the golf world after a California country club banned Phil Mickelson over claims of inappropriate physical contact with an employee. Emily Aketa has the latest and his denials.
Tonight, legendary golfer Phil Mickelson banned from his longtime club amid allegations of misconduct. Golf Digest reporting that earlier this spring, according to multiple sources, Mickelson approached the female employee at the clubhouse where he made non-consensual and inappropriate physical contact with her. The employee rejected his advances and reported the incident to supervisors at the Farms Golf Club. He was confronted with the accusation on the course and left the course. That's long served as a training ground for the San Diego native ahead of major competitions. When asked about the Phil Mickelson allegations, the Farms Golf Club outside of San Diego said in a statement to NBC News, following a staff member report of member misconduct, the club conducted a thorough independent investigation, adding this individual is no longer a member without naming him. It comes after Mickelson announced in April he would step away from competition for an extended period of time while tending to a family health matter, and on the heels of several controversies involving Saudi-backed Live Golf and gambling. But Mickelson's camp hitting back. A defamation lawyer who says he represents Mickelson telling Golf Digest there's a great deal of misinformation circulating. And a spokesperson for the golfer adding, any misunderstanding has been cleared up. Phil continues to attend to a family health matter and is uncertain when he will be able to return to professional golf. Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Now to that stunning video from California. A Pasadena police officer accidentally shot by another cop. The department saying it was horseplay gone wrong. Steve Patterson with the video and the story.
It happens in a flash, a moment of careless levity quickly taking a turn. Newly released dashcam video shows Pasadena police joking around during an evening shift change in September, when suddenly one pulls his department-issued firearm in a quick draw, appearing to aim it at the driver. Then a bang, gun smoke, cracked glass. The driver accidentally fires through the windshield, wounding a colleague. Officer down, but far from the line of duty.
The shooting resulted from officers engaged in unsafe and out-of-policy horseplay involving loaded firearms.
In a video statement, Pasadena Police Chief Gene Harris says the officer was seriously injured but recovered and that disciplinary measures were taken.
Horseplay and/or failure to adhere to safety rules and standards of professional conduct will not be tolerated.
And tonight, the city telling NBC News the officer in the car was relieved of his position and is no longer with the department. The police chief saying the incident is still under criminal investigation, but the district attorney's office telling NBC News they have yet to receive the case. While the police department reckons with an embarrassing moment that defies policy and ignores safety. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
A wild moment there. All right, we thank Steve for that. It is the biggest sporting event on the planet, the World Cup, and it just kicked off in Mexico before America's first game here in Los Angeles tomorrow. And the fans were out in full force. Stephanie Gosk was there for it all.
Tonight, the biggest World Cup ever is finally here. An electric scene in Mexico City, with the home team putting on a show against South Africa, scoring the first goal. Early this morning, crowds started lining up, a sea of green with a lot of love for the home team.
Let's see how fast it takes to get a chant going. Okay, ¿están listos?
Ready?
Mexico! Mexico! Mexico!
Some fans flying thousands of miles, all the way from New Jersey.
Have you ever been to a World Cup game before?
I never been. It was a dream come true.
Yes. Inside, organizers showing off years of preparation.
This stadium has been completely redone. It fits about 80,000 people. The field is brand new, and it is another historic day, and there have been many here. This will be the third time this stadium hosts a World Cup game, and that sets a record.
The Mexican government coordinating an enormous military and law enforcement plan.
The crowds are pouring in, but also the country is not taking any chances with security. There are police, there are National Guard, some of them in riot gear.
Just before the game began, protesters demanding higher pay for teachers were shut down fast by riot police. Security just one of the challenges in a tournament that will span North America. 48 countries competing in 104 matches. And tomorrow, LA will take center stage with the U.S. team facing off against Paraguay.
Alvarado's crossing. That's the goal he was looking for.
In Mexico tonight, the home team showing them how it's done, pulling off the first win of this World Cup.
What a victory for Mexico. Stephanie joins us now. Stephanie, that's the largest stadium in Latin America behind you. What was it like when Mexico scored on their home turf?
Tom, this was not a cheer. This was a roar. This was nearly 80,000 fans pulling for their home team and then watching them score the very first goal of the World Cup. And then, for good measure, they scored another one. If you were walking outside this stadium, there was no mistaking what just happened. Tom?
All right, Stephanie Goss for us. We can't wait to hear those roars here in L.A. For all the action, you can watch the games in Spanish on Telemundo and Peacock and in English on Fox. When we return in 60 seconds here on Nightly News, our series, The Cost of Denial, and the stunning government report slamming popular Medicare Advantage plans for excessively denying coverage, what you need to know. Plus, the deadly plane crash just in. How did the homeowners make it out alive? And inside the massive UFC cage known as the Claw looming over the White House. Our first up-close look tonight. We are back now with our series, The Cost of Denial, where we investigate the challenges people face with insurance. And we were shocked to find out how many seniors are denied coverage under part of Medicare Advantage. But we were even more surprised what happens when people take the time to appeal them. Here's Ann Thompson.
Ed McMahon is still recovering from an accident last August. Did you think 10 months later you would still need a cane to walk?
No, I thought, oh, I'll be back, I'll be walking.
The once active 78-year-old broke his left thigh bone at his Connecticut gym.
And it was like my leg being in almost like, in two pieces.
Surgeons put in a titanium rod, and McMahon says his doctor told him he needed extensive rehab at what's known as a skilled nursing facility.
He was more in the 60 to 8 range.
And how long were you there?
I was there 2 weeks when I got notified that I was doing great and by United Healthcare. I needed to make arrangements to leave.
But McMahon says he wasn't doing great and expected his Medicare Advantage plan to pay for the care his doctors prescribed. Could you dress yourself?
No.
Could you walk unassisted?
No.
Could you walk with a cane?
No.
Today, in a scathing new report from the Inspector General at HHS, Medicare Advantage plans called out for denials to these types of rehab centers. The report finding that on appeal, 95% of denials are reversed, an extremely high overturn rate that raises concerns that more initial requests should have been approved. HHS Assistant Inspector General Erin Bliss.
When a patient is denied a particular service that their doctors think that they need, they may just go without that care. They may get a substitute type of care that's a lower cost or lower intensity.
And while nearly every appeal results in a reversal, HHS found only 18% of patients even try. So did you appeal?
Yes.
The first appeal was granted, but it only gave Ed McMahon 3 days. He appealed once more, staying at the facility another 2 weeks waiting for a response. He was denied and now owes $11,000. He says he's planning to sue United Health Group, which did not respond to our requests for comment. McMahon's still hoping to recover financially and physically. How much longer do you think that's going to take?
I don't think that's ever really going to happen.
And with that, Ann Thompson joins us now. And the Inspector General's office had another report on denial rates for the biggest Medicare Advantage plans. And you have that stunning stat?
Tom, the 3 largest Medicare Advantage plans, including United Health Group, were found to have extremely high denial rates. For long-term care admission, at least 70% of the time, and inpatient rehab more than 50% of the time. Statistics that the IG says are concerning.
Ann Thompson for us tonight, and we thank you for that. When we return, why the feds are investigating these giant markings left on the National Mall ahead of the America 250 celebration and the growing controversy over the price tag of the UFC fight coming to the White House this weekend. That's next. Welcome back. Federal authorities are investigating a small plane that slammed into a home Thursday morning just after takeoff in southern Ohio. The 76-year-old pilot was killed, but somehow 2 people inside that house made it out safely. The home, as you can see here, left in ruins. And ahead of America's 250th, an investigation into these mysterious markings on the grass of the National Mall. Look closely. It appears to spell out 8647 in giant numbers. Those numbers have been interpreted as a protest, maybe even a threat to President Trump. Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted, you'll remember, by the Trump Justice Department over a social media post with seashells you just saw there in the shapes of those numbers. And new images in tonight of the 92-foot-tall UFC cage dubbed the Claw, dwarfing the White House. The 600-ton octagon is covered in sponsor logos, including Bud Light and Poly Market. A lawsuit has revealed the cost of this event at $60 million to stage those fights. That's Nightly News for this Thursday. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.